Oh, hold on, boy, that's my best friend, boy. Somebody my best friend want me in jail. I'm in that to go crazy, yo.
Honestly, I think only difference between them niggas was one was tall and one was short. That's it. I ain't gonna lie, no homo. Them was in love with each other, folks. Like that one you meet, you like, man, for like this my dog.
So if you see me, it ain't no leave me the alone.
Troy was the littlest with the biggest gun. I swear to God, if you didn't know him, you would feel him at all times. Like, you would never turn your back on Troy.
It's February 2017, and one of Chicago's most infamous names, T.Roy, has just been offed. But this isn't just another loss in the never-ending cycle of Chicago's street wars. T.Roy wasn't just anybody. He was King Von's best friend, a feared presence in O Block, and a legend in his own right.
In bullpen number 5. At this time, can you state your name for me?
James Johnson.
T.Roy wasn't just known as Von's right-hand man. He carved his own chilling reputation on the streets. Dubbed the 5'1" assassin, his stature didn't stop him from being one of O Block's most ruthless forces. His name struck fear far and wide, built on savage actions that spoke louder than words. He wasn't riding Von's coattails. T.Roy was a demon in his own lane.
Troy was the littlest with the biggest gun. I swear to God, if you didn't know him, you would feel him at all times. Like, you would never turn your back on Troy.
What led to his death and what came after was just as shocking. 7 lives taken in revenge. Let's break it all down. T.Roy, born James Johnson, wasn't just another name whispered in the shadows of Chicago's drill scene. He was a legend in the making. At just for 5'1", he may not have had the physical stature to intimidate, but his presence carried weight that spoke louder than words.
T.Roy was just, he was ruthless.
No, I keep that 33. But this ain't a 33.
He was King Von's right-hand man. But more than that, he was a force to be reckoned with on the streets. Growing up in Parkway Gardens, known infamously as O Block, T.Roy was surrounded by a world where survival wasn't just about staying alive. It was about making a name for yourself, in a place where names could be gone in the blink of an eye. O Block wasn't just a neighborhood, it was a battleground. It was also home to a close-knit group of young men, bound by shared losses, shared dreams, and shared vengeance. T.Roy's connection to the block was cemented when O Block was named after O'Day Perry, a close friend and mentor to many in their crew. O'Day's death in 2011 was the spark that changed everything for T.Roy. Before O'Day, T.Roy was still finding his footing, but after losing someone so close, the streets became personal. Every move he made, every mission he went on was calculated and driven by an unspoken promise to protect the block and honor those they'd lost. This shift turned T.Roy into a soldier, someone who knew what it meant to be loyal to the soil, but also understood that loyalty came with a price. He became known for his relentless nature, never hesitating to handle business when it came to defending O Block. At just 5'1", T.Roy earned a reputation that towered over men twice his size. And there's a saying in the streets, it's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog. T.Roy lived that to the fullest. He wasn't just about action, he was about making sure O Block's name struck fear into anyone who dared test it. But even before O Block gained its infamy, T.Roy and Veen were inseparable. These two weren't just friends, they were brothers. Every story about one seemed to involve the other. But while Von later transitioned into music, T.Roy remained deep in the streets, earning a reputation as one of O Block's most feared members. His reputation wasn't just talk. Big Mike, another O Block veteran, once said T.Roy was even more of a demon than King Von. An intense claim considering Von's own legacy.
But T.Roy was a different level of demon though. You can't compare them.
Break that down, why do you say that?
Because T.Roy was bigger. He just ain't had a name.
But T.Roy wasn't all about violence. Those who knew him talked about his loyalty, his humor, and the way he looked out for his people. He was a protector, but also a punisher when crossed. So what happened on February 14th, 2017? What started as another day on the streets quickly turned into a deadly game of cat and mouse. T.Roy, known for being the hunter, was out looking for revenge. Earlier, word had spread that one of O Block's known rivals, TW member TB, was in the area. For T.Roy, this wasn't just another rumor, it was an opportunity to send a message. But the streets are unpredictable, and while he was on the prowl, he didn't realize the tables had already turned. By the time T.Roy stepped into that small convenience store on 71st Street, his focus was sharp, his mind on the mission. The surveillance footage shows him casually walking in, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. What he didn't know was that TB, his target, had spotted him first. This wasn't a chance encounter. TB had been waiting, watching, calculating. And the moment T.Roy let his guard down, the trap was sprung. It happened fast. Too fast for anyone to react. TB ambushed T.Roy, catching him off guard and firing multiple shots at close range. The surveillance camera caught the chaos. The sudden eruption of violence in what was supposed to be an ordinary store visit. 1 second, T.Roy was alive, focused, ready for anything. The next, he was on the ground, bleeding out. The hit wasn't just another random shooting. It was personal, precise, and meant to send a message back to O'Block.
Oh, hold on, boy, that's my best friend, boy. Somebody best friend want me in jail. I mean, that to go crazy, yo.
The loss of T.Roy hit O'Block hard. This wasn't just about losing a soldier. It was about losing family. For King Vine, it was like losing a part of himself. Vaughn's pain fueled his later actions, leading to one of the most intense periods of retaliation Chicago had ever seen. In the days and weeks following T.Roy's MDR, the streets were set on fire. Reports suggest that 7 people lost their lives in revenge for T.Roy. T.Roy was extremely close to members of 600 and played a pivotal role in the gang wars that defined Chicago's streets. His death had hit 600 hard, leading many to take it personally. At the time, his closest friend, King Vaughn, was incarcerated, leaving others in the streets to retaliate. O-Block and 600 decided to form an alliance called OB600, uniting under the banner of vengeance for their fallen comrade. The newly formed pact sparked a series of back-to-back retaliatory unalivings in Troy's honor, earning them the grim nickname Get Back Gang. The revenge spree started almost immediately. On the night of T.Roy's death, Boo from 600 took to Twitter, warning everyone about the storm that was coming. It didn't take long for the Get Back Gang to prove him right. In May 2017, just 3 months after T.Roy's offing, the gang initiated a series of violent acts. Their first major hit was against Warren Denton, known as Lil, a 44-year-old member of Jarrah City. Despite his age and alleged disinterest in gang activities, his association with the rival set made him a target. On May 15, 2017, gunshots rang out on the 6100 block of South Eberhart. Lil found on the pavement with multiple gunshot wounds, including fatal shots to the head. Witnesses reported 4 shooters, one of whom stood over the victim to ensure he was dead. Rumors began swirling that McAdoo, also known as Madu, was one of the shooters. McAdoo was allegedly spotted at the scene in a black hoodie and jeans. Shockingly, even after Lil demise, 600 Breezy was seen in photos with McAdoo, further fueling speculation about Breezy's stance despite Lil being his uncle. But the violence didn't stop there. Just 7 days later, on May 9th, Jamie Jones, aka Jamu from MOB, was ambushed while driving through Washington Park. A car pulled up beside him and shots were fired, hitting him in the chest, back, and arm. Jamu later succumbed to his injuries. Investigators later linked the weapon used in Jamu's offing to Lil offing, further tying the Get Back Gang to the crimes. McAdoo was later caught with the same weapon, solidifying his suspected involvement in both unalivements. By June, the Get Back Gang's revenge spree intensified. Poppy from Taiwan World, a close ally of TB, the man allegedly responsible for T.Roy's death, became their next target. On June 16th, while helping a customer at an LMP candy warehouse, Poppy was ambushed. A masked shooter with an AK-47 gunned him down, hitting him multiple times, including 3 fatal shots to the head. It's alleged that O'Block member HK, who was the brother of T.Roy himself, was the one who offered Poppy. This unalivement allegedly marked the point where HK, whose real name is Hakeem, previously nicknamed Heck, earned his new nickname HK, an abbreviation for Headshot King, due to Poppy being hit in the head numerous times. Unsurprisingly, HK took to the internet to brag about this unalivement. He was seen aligning the chain of his big brother, something that members are known to do when they've avenged the death of said person. Further insults and taunting from O-Block members would seemingly implicate HK as the shooter. For example, Melly from O-Block visited the store where Poppy had worked and made a post shouting out HK. A few days later, EOG, who would also change his name on Twitter to EOY in honor of T.Roy, made a tweet where he compared ending someone to being intimate, a disturbing and creepy post. Taekwon World was obviously devastated after Poppy's death. TB shared on Twitter that he was heartbroken at the news. For Taekwon World, the loss of Poppy was likely as devastating as the loss of T.Roy was for O-Block and 600. But Get Back Gang wasn't done yet. At this point, they likely felt invincible. This was no longer about getting even. They were ending their ops like it was nothing and facing zero consequences. Just 12 days later, they continued their unaliving spree, this time offing a female affiliate of MAOB. Janine Dow, also known as White Girl, was a 32-year-old woman living in the MOB neighborhood. She is sometimes labeled in internet theories as a setup chick, but no serious evidence supports this claim. In reality, she appeared to be a hard-working, fun-loving woman and a mother of 3 who unfortunately became a target of Get Back Gang due to her neighborhood and the company she kept. On June 28th, Janine was driving in an SUV with another woman named Julia in the Washington Park neighborhood. They stopped at a red light when 2 shooters approached the vehicle from the sides, firing into the car and hitting both women multiple times, ending them before fleeing the scene. Heartbreaking pictures later circulated from the crime scene as people close to the victims learned the tragic news. This time, however, the unalivers wouldn't get away. Madu from 600 and Lil Scud from O-Block were arrested and charged with the double homicide. Newspapers reported that authorities were still unaware of any motive, but rumors suggested White Girl was expected to cooperate in a battery case against someone allied with 600. Allegedly, Madu and Lil Scud were paid to carry out the hit. Supporting this theory, newspapers revealed that Madu made 15 calls to a person charged with aggravated battery against White Girl in the hours before and after the unalivement. At this point, Madu had been implicated in 3 unalivements within just a few months, but finally, his life as a free man came to an end. Meanwhile, MOB was outraged by the attack on their innocent friend. Both White Girl and Jamu had now been offed in response to an unalivement that Moby wasn't even involved in. White Girl's demise was later referenced in the track Street to Me by MOB rappers Lil Mo 6 Blocker and Roga.
When you caught up in these streets, you don't get cold without the heat, cause it's a cold world.
Ducey also posted a tribute to White Girl, promising to retaliate against anyone involved in her unalivement, a post even liked by Mimo 600. Taekwon would later condemn Madu's actions in a YouTube livestream, criticizing fans for praising him for the unalivements. He pointed out the gruesomeness of Madu's alleged charges and called out the hypocrisy of those who glorify violence. Trey 5 from O-Block also made a statement against Madu, reportedly telling police that he heard Madu say he caught someone on 55th and Wabash and knew it was White Girl. Whether a White Girl's unalivement was part of the get back for T.Roy or a paid hit is irrelevant. She became the 4th unalivement in 2 months carried out by the same group, with Madu involved in the first 2. This unalivement clearly marked the continuation of the gang's relentless offing spree, which had now seemingly broadened to include MUB targets. Tragically, things were far from over. The following month, Get Back Gang, also known as OB600, committed another double unalivement, targeting 2 family members of FBG Duck in a single night. Kobe Mack was FBG Duck's cousin and a member of Taekwon World, while FBG Brick was Duck's older brother. Brick, deeply connected to the Taekwon World, was often seen with TB and other members in music videos. It was rumored that Brick had given TB T.Roy's location before his death, possibly explaining why he was seen pictured with TB and Man Man, aka Get Right or Can't Get Right, wearing the same clothes they allegedly wore during T.Roy's offing. On July 17th, a block party took place in STL territory on the 6300 block of St. Lawrence. Brick and Kobe were in attendance. While they were hanging out on a porch, a white SUV pulled up, and a gunman exited, shooting Kobe multiple times. Brick attempted to escape, but was chased into an alley and shot several times. Both men died at the scene, while the shooter fled. Witnesses allege that Brick was left slumped over a fence he had tried to climb to escape, while images of Kobe's body on the grass in front of the house were released in news articles. The deaths of Kobe and Brick added to the body count of Get Back Gang's street, intensifying the violence between the factions. Interestingly, the news described the 6300 block of St. Lawrence as a nice, quiet block, seemingly either unaware of the neighborhood's ongoing violence or engaging in subtle trolling. A viral photo was shared of FBG Duck and his mother, Mama Duck, mourning at the scene. Recordings of the aftermath were also released online, capturing Mama Duck's grief-filled screams echoing throughout the neighborhood. Many suspect that O'Block members HK, C Murder, Trey 5, and 600 members Madu and Cap 12 were involved in this hit, with one Redditor arguing it's almost confirmed. Mama Duck has discussed the unalivements in interviews, explaining to Say Cheese how a car arrived at the party's location, asking for Duck. Witnesses claim Brick recognized the person in the car. Another vehicle drove by, initiating immediate shooting, while yet another car reportedly waited behind the house to ambush anyone trying to escape. Mama Duck recounted,
"Supposed to have been a car waiting in the back behind where they were standing. And then a car came up the one way and they instantly shot Kobe."
She continued, explaining how Brick tried to run and jump a gate but was shot in the back. Kobe's autopsy suggested he was running towards the back when someone was already waiting for him. Mama Duck has claimed O'Block had nothing to do with the unalivements, stating, "They didn't off Brick and Kobe, y'all heard it from my mouth." In another video, she insinuated Brick and Kobe weren't offered by ops, but rather by someone closer to them. She said, "All of a sudden, the block gets empty. Then, 3 minutes later, a car comes down the one way. But what messes me up is, what ops you know gonna sit in the back of a crib that they know Brick is in front of?" The ops didn't even know about this cut. They were waiting on him. Brick was shot 6 times, twice in the back, twice in the once in the arm, and the final point-blank shot under his eye. His mother suggested someone familiar with him was involved, saying, "They knew my son. They knew he would jump the gate."
Yeah, and I can just remember trying to break through them polices to get to my son. I didn't want him to feel like he died alone, you know?
On social media, Mama Duck claimed Cap was one of the people implicated in the offing. Cap and Brick had a history of online disputes, with Brick previously insulting Cap and referencing conflicts with his 100. Less than an hour after the unalivements, Cap posted on Twitter, with some speculating it was a poorly executed alibi. The situation became more intricate when, in 2019, Cap posted tweets disrespecting both Brick and Kobe, showing a clear hatred toward them. Brick had also shared stories about past altercations, including one where Rondo allegedly shot him during a fight. More recently, Mama Duck hinted that federal authorities are about to charge 2 suspects in connection with Brick and Kobe's unalivements. She cryptically said, "One of them we ain't gonna talk about, but the other one, they're coming for your aid." The escalating violence associated with this feud, particularly with a Get Back gang seeking revenge for their beloved member T.Roy, highlights the cycle of retaliation in Chicago's gang conflicts. By the summer of 2017, the group allegedly offed up to 7 people in a matter of months, all in the name of vengeance. Their main target remained TB from Taekwon World, the individual responsible for T.Roy's death. Despite losing allies, TB continued to move recklessly in dangerous areas. On July 26, 2017, he and his friend Marcus Clark were ambushed on the 7,000 block of South Chapel Avenue, the same area where T.Roy was offed. TB's death was particularly brutal, with police reports indicating he sustained numerous gunshot wounds, potentially from an entire magazine emptied into him. Audio recordings revealed that the shooters reloaded and continued firing. Tragically, TB was pronounced dead at Northwestern Hospital at just 21 years old. The headlines surrounding T.Roy and TB's deaths bore eerie similarities, illustrating the vicious cycle of violence in this lifestyle. TB's offing wasn't just another case of street violence. It served as the tragic punctuation to the long-running feud between gang factions. It was personal, deeply rooted in the betrayal and back-and-forth retaliation that had plagued the area for years. Get Back Gang had made it clear that they wouldn't stop until they avenged their fallen comrade. T.Roy, The events that followed showed that no one was truly safe, not even those who thought they were far removed from the violence. As for the offing of TBC, the chilling circumstances surrounding it only deepened the mystery. After all, this wasn't a random shooting. It was a calculated execution. The unalivers knew exactly where to find TB, and they made sure he didn't make it out alive. The precision with which TB's unalivers operated painted a picture of a long-standing vendetta, one that had been simmering beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to explode. Despite the tragedy, the social media posts surrounding the event gave a sense of how deep the animosity went. People were already speculating, sharing their theories and accusations, some of them even suggesting that TB's location had been leaked. In a way, this social media frenzy gave the unalivers a strange form of posthumous notoriety, amplifying the tragic tale of street justice and retribution. The fallout from TB's death reverberated through the community, sparking conversations about the brutal nature of this ongoing conflict. It was a stark reminder of the price many paid for being caught up in the game, where lives are expendable and nothing, not even a moment of peace, seems safe from the violence. But perhaps the most telling aspect of these unalivements is the way they echo the broken relationships within these gangs, the betrayals, and the relentless pursuit of vengeance. It's a vicious cycle that seems impossible to break, a culture of violence that only feeds itself, leaving those involved trapped in an unending spiral of retaliation. Anyway, for King Von, T.Roy's death had not been just personal, it became part of his music and his story. Tracks like Crazy Story and Took Her to the O were filled with the pain and anger he felt after losing his best friend. He made sure T.Roy's name was remembered, turning his legacy into legend. T.Roy's story is one of loyalty, tragedy, and a cycle of violence that claimed far too many lives. While his death sparked chaos, his life is a reminder of the complex world he came from, a world where bonds ran deep, but danger was always just around the corner. And that's what happened in 2017 when T.Roy was offed, a story that still echoes in Chicago's streets today.